I grew up my whole life not having a relationship with God, though. I just grew up knowing that there's a religion.
And you recently converted to Christian. How was that change for you, and why did you decide to make that change?
Not Corey coming with a heavy hitter. Not even easing his way in. It was just like, boom.
Meet Kace, public speaker and therapist. On this episode of Black is Even Rich, we talk about why she changed from a religion she grew up on. We talk about traumas and how they directly influence who we are today. Take a second and think about your traumas, because they could be blocking your blessings.
Intergenerational trauma, simplest formed, is just hurt passed on. What your parents went through, that you're probably gonna mimic it. That looks like behaviors that have just kind of been continuously passed on. Abuse. It's just a cycle. This might get me in trouble. But it doesn't matter the credentials, and it doesn't matter how well this therapist can, articulate all these different modalities and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you still need a human connection.
Yeah.
If you're not vibing with your therapist, find another therapist. A lot of people going to social media to look at for therapy, and I'm just like, cool, I get it, but y'all.
What are the initial conversations that you would suggest having with your loved ones about converting?
All right, well, I gotta be transparent. Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're blessed. My name is Kace. I also go by Showcase online. And I met this amazing human being, Corey, a couple of weeks ago, and great conversations. And so we are here, and we're gonna get into some deep things.
I know that you come from a family of a Hindu background, and you recently converted to Christian, right? Mm-hmm. How was that change for you, and why did you decide to make that change?
Not Corey coming with a heavy hitter. Not even easing his way in. It was just like, boom. Thank you for the question. I think, I grew up in a family who was practicing Hinduism, and they still are. 2 years ago in 2021, I was at a point in my life where I thought everything was kind of like moving, and I did a lot of things in terms of just like goal oriented, like career, lifestyle, stuff like that, working towards healing myself. I already started this online platform called Showcase, which really came about in 2017 as I was going through my own issues with mental health and a lot of trauma that I was experiencing. But in 2021, it got to a point where I was just kind of like, something was missing, and I didn't really know what it was. And then June in 2021 is when I met she's my girl now, but I went to high school with her, and I bumped into her after like years. I'm talking about y'all. I'm talking about like after 10, 12 years, I'm not trying to age myself, but a long time. And then when I saw her, I just really felt her spirit, and I just felt really inclined to go say hi. And I did, and we exchanged numbers, kind of like we used to play volleyball together in high school, picked it off where it was. And she's a Christian. And one day she sends me a link to her church. And it's crazy because now she's like, girl, I don't know what I was thinking, because I knew you were Hindu. I'm like, why am I sending this girl a link to my church? But she sent it to me, and God's so amazing like that, because when God chooses you, if you are ready to answer the calling, it's go time. And for me in 2021, that's what happened. And so I ended up going to church off of a link that was sent from a friend that I haven't seen in 14 years.
And it's never been the same since.
Never been the same since.
So here's the thing. Obviously, in my opinion, I believe sometimes we're biased to our religion because the way we grew up, it's a family tradition. It's what our family does. So a lot of people honor their religion because of how they grew up. Obviously, you chose to you start with one thing and then end up another thing. How tough was that decision and your family?
Yeah, I don't think it's not past tense. How tough
was
it? It is because I'm still going through it. It's I actually spoke about it this morning, because what's going to happen when you choose Christ is God's going to bring you into a season of separation. And that means you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose things. You're going to lose interest. He's gonna put you in a season of preparation where if there's a calling on you, like all of us are anointed and there's a calling on our lives. But it is up to us to be able to be obedient in that. And in the obedience, God is gonna tell you what to do. And you gotta listen. So I'm talking, we were just talking about it earlier, like in terms of secular music.
Yeah.
I don't listen to secular music anymore. I don't watch TV shows and movies. Honestly, I don't even really watch TV anymore. I don't hang out with the same friends anymore. And I still love them. I really do. And I grieved a lot last year because I was losing everything. And so then you ask yourself, like, I don't understand. Like, I said yes to Christ, but why is it getting so hard? But if you ask a Christian, they're all going to have similar answer. It does get harder. It doesn't get easier. But through the suffering is what builds your faith. If there's no suffering, then we wouldn't need God.
Fair. Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's no suffering, we wouldn't need God. But God makes us go through hardships and suffering. And I'm talking about different levels of it, whether it's mental health, whether it's like illnesses, you know. I remember in 2017 when I said I was really having a hard time. My sister was diagnosed with cancer in 2017.
Oh, geez, sorry to hear.
Yeah, but you know, God is so good. She's in remission now. But in 2017, she almost lost her life because she had a very rare form of cancer. And unfortunately, we lost our nephew during that time. She was pregnant. So, and at that time, I was really angry with God. And I didn't have a relationship with God.
This is 2017, before you converted?
Yes, right, because I found Christ in 2021. I got baptized in 2022.
Okay.
I've never said this out loud. So this is
exclusive.
But this also shows you where I'm at right now, because I don't want to hide my faith. I don't want to be ashamed that I believe in Jesus Christ, because he's the only one that actually showed me real love. And I think that's the thing. I think we go through life and we go through a lot of these experiences, like earthly experiences, but God, like, who created us though? God. And a lot of people, and I used to do this, you know, like I'm like, the universe. God created the universe.
Exactly.
So whatever we're talking about God, but which God, right? And in Hinduism, there's multiple gods, multiple. I remember growing up, and my mother and most Hindu families in their household will have a room. And in that room, there's all these statues and all these pictures with all these gods. And it's like, if you're sick, you pray to a specific God. If you want to do well on your math exam, you pray to a specific God. If you want to get married, you pray to a specific God. There's different gods you pray to. I grew up my whole life not having a relationship with God, though. I just grew up knowing that there's a religion. And my mom is very religious.
So growing up, sorry to cut you off, did you believe in the religion that you were brought up in? Or did you always feel off?
Off. Yeah, because I was like, this don't make no sense. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense because a lot of the traditions and cultures, and honestly, I want to say this, I hope people do not get offended with what I say, but I hope you can also give me grace. This is my experience. So I'm only sharing off of my experience. If you're someone that's listening to me and you're of the Hindu faith, this is in no means trying to be disrespectful. This is just my experience and what I go through, and everyone isn't, you know,
to their own,
right,
their own experience.
Right. So just give people grace. Give people grace. And I'm giving people grace too. I have to learn that every day, because I can't be looking at my old lifestyle and looking at my friends and stuff like that and then feel a type of way, because at the end of the day, I still have to pray for them.
Fair.
Because I was that. I was listening to secular music. I was being in, you know, partying, and I was like drinking, and I was doing all these things that wasn't really serving me. And I was in a mindset where it didn't really include God. I never gave thanks to God. You know what I'm saying? So with Hinduism is I just understood that it was this religion, and then there's just these things.
You didn't understand the essence of it. For you, no. It didn't resonate with you.
Yeah, because God never spoke to me. God never spoke to me in the time that I was a Hindu. I never felt the desire to want to see God. Why is that? That's part of my testimony.
Exactly.
That's my testimony. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when I would go to the temples and my mom would take me around the temple, you'd kind of go around to all the statues, and you kind of like, and there's ways, but like, you know, like touch the statues 3 times and bring it to your eyes. There's so many different things. But I would do that, and I'm just like, I don't really understand why we're doing this. You know what I mean? And then we have priests, but they speak in Sanskrit.
What does that mean? Sorry.
Which is a very old language that's used. We don't understand that. So then I also have to sit there, and then they do a lot of rituals in front of the statues. I never understood what was being said. So how would I build a relationship with God
connections
if there's no
automatically
communication?
missing. Yeah.
Corey, how are you and I are supposed to build a relationship together if we can't communicate?
Yeah.
You feel me?
It almost seems like, from the outside looking in, obviously this is no shade to anyone. It seems like it's not a forced tradition, but it's like a learned tradition, like where it's like not felt. Like
Right.
I believe religion is supposed to be felt. And I feel like if you can't understand something, then you can't feel it.
Yeah, you
So
can't.
it's like you're practicing
Right.
a tradition almost.
Right.
You're just practicing a set of rules.
Yeah.
Not knowing why.
It's just passed down.
Yeah, it's just passed down.
I'll ask my parents certain things because Hindus also fast a lot for various things. But then I'll ask my mom's like, okay, we should do that. I'm like, but why? Why are we doing? And the thing is, our parents, they come from a different generation, but they too don't have all the answers to these things. And I was like, it just doesn't make sense. And in my profession, I'm a mental health therapist, so I'm constantly analyzing and assessing and all that stuff. I'm like, doesn't make sense though. It doesn't make sense. And so that was kind of my thing. So when I met Christ and I went into the church, shout out to my pastor, Pastor Andrew, Pastor Chantel, they literally changed my life because I found leadership in a ministry that was able to communicate how I can get closer to God.
And that's what you needed all this time.
Absolutely.
So for the people that may be thinking about converting, and obviously it must come with a lot of mental pressures, like, to explain it to your family or your loved ones. What are the initial conversations that you would suggest having with their loved ones about converting?
All right. Well, I got to be transparent.
Yeah.
Y'all, my family don't know.
Oh, jeez. To this day?
No.
No.
No, my sister does.
Okay. How does she feel?
Okay, I want to honor my sister's story, so I won't share what she should be sharing on her own.
Fair.
But when I went into the church in 2021, and then in June of 2022, I felt a strong presence of God. And at that moment, I was like, I need to get baptized.
Wow.
Like, I felt it. It also happened at a time in my church where we do this thing called 5/7. So people are selected to come and share their testimony. 5 individuals that day shared their testimony. It literally just hands down moved me so much because I'm just like, so this is what Jesus does. This is what Jesus does. And I want that. Like, I was really hungry. Like, I wanted to do everything in my power to really be, obey and like really fall in line with what it is he wants for me. And so that's when I decided to get baptized. So when I decided that, the conversation around like, okay, so am I telling my parents and my family? But like, I'm a grown woman, so it's not like I'm not trying to get permission from no one.
Fair.
But also it's like, dang, like I would love to share that. But unfortunately, I wasn't in a position where I could share that with my family because their heart posture wasn't ready to receive it. And is their heart posture ready right now? I don't think so. So what I ended up doing was I went into a lot of, I just decided to become who I needed to become. And, in scripture, God says, one of the main things is to share the gospel, but also to know who to share it to and when to share it to. So the focus, and sometimes, I was really angry at times because I was like, you guys don't understand, like, stop saying that. And, my friends would make comments about like, okay, she got to go to church now, like stuff like that. And at first I let it slide, but later I was like, yo, that's straight disrespectful. Don't do that kind of thing. But then I started getting angry and I started getting really upset. But then really, God really put it in my heart. He's like, you need to forgive. You need to forgive people and you need to give people grace.
Fair.
Because I got grace from God. God forgave me.
Fair.
Because we're all sinners. So who am I to go and judge someone else because they haven't found God yet? That's not my thing to say. So with that, I just learned how to forgive people in my life, and I learned how to give grace to my family and grace to, just in their speech and their nature of what they do. But I did end up having a conversation with my sister, and she was like, it's so wild. I'm telling y'all, if depending on where you are with your relationship with God, with Christ, but I urge individuals, like if you're sitting and you're wondering and you're pondering and you're like, like something's missing, like honestly try talking to God. Like just try because he will show you. Like as soon as we seek him, he'll show up.
Wow. So that kind of leads to like my next segue, because I want to talk, you're a mental health therapist. And I want to talk about what do you see mostly what's going on today? Like, what are some of the problems you're seeing today?
I think people are just not talking.
Do you think it's hard to speak?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's hard to speak when we don't have
Direction
and we don't have a level of safety to speak. Because we understand, we also...
Safety.
Corey's like, listen now.
Yes. Sorry, not to cut you off, but that safety thing is such a big thing. Even for us, we have platforms, and I believe this cancel culture thing is really deteriorating our just critical thinking, to be honest. So when I hear safety, that's what I think about is, okay, can I say this right now? Can I not? But I'm feeling this way, but I may be scared to say what I really want to say.
Right.
And I feel like with society today, it's almost you're being penal. Let's say I say something outlandish, but I genuinely didn't know any better, but I'll be penalized. I'll be crucified for that. And I don't think that's fair in today's society.
Yeah. But I think that's what happened to society with the whole like shift of like social media
For sure.
being the center of everything. First of all, y'all, let me tell you something. I know we're on social media and we're posting everything, but get off. Like, you need to get off. You need to unplug. Like, you really need to do that, because social media is an amazing tool to connect human beings, but that very tool can also be very destructive.
It's a two-edged sword.
You know what I'm saying? It definitely is. And so you have to find, and you have to have discernment. You have to have discernment in what kind of things are you doing online? Like, whose pages are you following? Why are you following them? How long are you on social media? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's funny that you say that, because I was having a conversation the other day, and this person was expressing like, yo, I want to get off social media. I want to get off Instagram because I follow too many pages and I don't want to feel like unfollowing them all. I said, you know what? I know there's probably a lot of people that have like unfollow guilt or whatever, right? I said, listen, just put them on mute, so you don't have to see them. Yeah, just mute them so you don't have to see it. Because if you're using social media as a tool, then I think you should keep it there,
right?
Because that can bring you business, which can help your family, right? So I just want to say that, like, keep it on mute if you don't want to see something.
There's a lot of layers to this. Like, I think it's like a heavy loaded question, but like, it really is. It's a lot of layers. But coming back to the question of like, what do you think the issue is? So people are not talking about it, but also you need to understand like who you can speak to, right?
Fair.
We can't just go and like say everything that we want to say to every circle that we're in, because you might cause more harm to yourself than actually feeling like, well, I'm just going to say it because I have the right to speak and stuff like that. You do, but you also don't want to say it to a group of people that are not going to be empathetic and compassionate.
And they may not be in the space to take that on.
There you go. They might not have the capacity to take that on.
Fair.
You get what I'm saying? Like, if I'm depressed and Corey, I come to you and I'm just like, man, like, this is how I'm feeling. And you're listening to me, but you're in a space where you're just like, nah, well, I'm navigating my life well. You're not really understanding like what it is that I'm going through. Not that you don't want to understand nor help me, but you just might not have the capacity to.
Fair.
And this is why, you know, I got into this field because I've seen a lot of, you know, just personal experiences of gang violence, grief, discrimination, like the list goes on. But also, like, I'm a woman, I'm a racialized woman. I come from, you know, another country, and just seeing how like whiteness and white supremacy impacts especially our Black and brown and indigenous bodies. You know what I'm saying? 100%. And just really committing to doing the work in that. I've worked in a lot of different systems, like child protection services, doing abuse investigations, school board, and a lot of community stuff. Like, I've done a lot of that. Now I have a private practice where I'm actually get to work with individuals one-to-one to be like, what's going on? But also representation. So that people matters. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, people want to see a therapist that looks like them, that understands culturally what that means. You know? So I think that's the thing. I think the problem is, unfortunately, the resources are not easily available, and it's expensive, you know, in terms of accessibility. However, it's still your responsibility to heal from the trauma.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
especially when you're an adult. It's
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Because if you don't, we're just going to keep passing this thing on. And that even goes to my next thing. I want to talk about intergenerational trauma. And for the people that don't know what it is, can you explain, please?
Intergenerational trauma, simplest formed, is just hurt passed on. You know what I mean? I kind of.
What does that look like?
That looks like your upbringing. That looks like, you know, what your parents went through, that you're probably going to mimic it. That looks like just behaviors that have just kind of been continuously passed on. Abuse. It's just a cycle that keeps repeating itself. And until you realize that it actually exists, and that's another thing too. I think like sometimes we're in denial.
Of
like,
intergenerational trauma.
Yeah. Like I'm good. No, my family, no. Like that doesn't happen. It does. It does happen. It does. You have to name it. You have to be able to recognize it and then name it and then figure out, okay, so what do I do with this? Right? This is why going to therapy is beneficial. This is why you should go seek a therapist. And I just posted something yesterday on my story around a lot of people going to social media to look at for therapy. And I'm just like, cool. I get it. Yeah. But y'all, that ain't therapy.
Yeah.
That ain't therapy. You have to go meet a therapist. And I hear like, oh, but you know, my therapist is whack. Like these therapists are whack. Yeah, but sometimes doctors are about whack. Sometimes lawyers run a really bad case. And there's bad apples in every profession. Yeah. But you got to do the work. So if a therapist, this is why therapists have 15-minute consultations or time where you can ask questions.
You got to pick one that's
ask
for you.
Ask questions, right? Yeah. Like if you're not, and another thing too, I do not care. This might get me in trouble. But it doesn't matter the credentials and it doesn't matter how well this therapist can, you know, articulate all these different modalities and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you still need a human connection.
Yeah.
If you're not vibing with your therapist, find another therapist.
Fair.
Vibe. You got to vibe. All my clients, I make sure that they vibe with me and that they feel safe with me and that there's kind of that, you know, mutual respect there. Because if not, don't come back to me. And I'm okay losing my coins for that. Because we want you to get better. So I think that's the thing. So do not get discouraged if you ended up going into therapy. And a lot of people go to therapy at a younger age and have really bad experiences.
I did.
And then would not go into therapy at
I haven't
adulthood.
been since.
There you go.
I never really thought about that till right now.
But let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you go into, I don't know, if you go into Walmart and you're going to buy a lawnmower.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, I got to cut this grass. And then, you know, you take out the lawnmower and you're like, yo, this lawnmower is whack. Like it doesn't even cut. Are you just not going to cut your grass?
Oh, no. I would go get another one. Yeah, I'll go get another one.
You're going to go back.
I'll figure it out.
And you're going to be like, well, this one didn't have that. So now let me look at the other brands that actually can cut my grass. And you're going to go purchase that. Because why? Your grass needs to get cut, no?
100%.
So this was just kind of like, but it's true, no?
It's true.
It's true. You're not just going to be like, oh, it didn't work. All right, my bad. No. Yeah. Now let me jump this back to church. I don't know why I want to go to church.
No, go ahead.
But the same thing, right? Just some of us that are Christians that experience church hurt are like, nah, I'm not about it. I'm good. Oh my God, Christians are preaching like, you know, individual, but like they be the same people that are doing all this. Yeah, but y'all, that's not God though.
Yeah, that's a human
that's
flaw.
Humans, that's people, that's infrastructure, that's that ministry.
Yeah.
So hold on, let me get this straight. So if I go to church and then the pastor says something that's super offensive and doesn't go biblically and doesn't align with scripture, that's it? Like there's no God?
And also too, like one thing I do say, even though I do have my reservations with Christianity in some way, but I do think because it's so popular, if any other religion was as popular, they would have the same kind of issues, to be honest, because I feel like it's just gone through so many hands and it's so worldwide that it's so easy to misconstrue certain things.
Absolutely. What's the most hated religion?
I don't know.
Christianity.
You think? We were talking about this, and I personally think it's Islam, to be honest, especially in North America.
And then I took that viewpoint that you gave me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. All relative, right? And I think that's the thing. I think as human beings, we're focusing on things that that's not what we should be focusing on.
We're focused on human things.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and that's not it. Like, for me personally, as soon as I open the Bible,
you feel that ease.
Bro. Y'all, the Bible literally, that was written about 2,000 years ago, the Bible literally has everything in it. Like I'm talking about everything. Anything and everything that you're going to, I promise you, there will be a book in the Bible that speaks on it. I was reading Jonah yesterday. Slap me. I got boxed. Like my friends would use this term, but I got boxed.
Yeah.
Because I was literally reading that and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Relatable.
Super relatable. Scripture is just right there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, and that's the thing. And I feel like human beings are so caught up with everything that we create and everything, how we want to do it. But it's like, we still operate in the flesh, eh?
Exactly. So there's always going to be human error and human flaw.
It's not godly. But that's why we repent. That's why we have to be mindful of like how we sin, and we're constantly learning. But you have to go back to the direct source, which is the Bible, which is your relationship with God. So, and I'm saying this to say that like there is a call. Like I know there's a calling on my life. I can feel it, and I've taken the call. So at this point in my life, I'm not going back. I'm not going back because I'm choosing to do God's work. And I feel like I was doing God's work all this time, being in the field that I'm in.
Yeah.
Every day I sit and I listen to people who are going through something, and I try my best to come with, problem solve, right?
Now you just have a new battery in your back.
Now I'm just like, oh my gosh. Now I have like faith.
Oh, yeah.
Like faith.
Yeah, along with your skill too. That's
Faith.
powerful.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it just makes more sense now. Now I feel more purposeful in doing what it is that I need to do. And 2 Corinthians 5:7, it states we walk by faith, not by sight. Before I could even learn, before I even picked up scripture, the Bible, I found this scripture. It's actually my screensaver. Okay? But it's a really important screensaver for me.
Yeah.
Because at the time, my sister was almost losing her life. At that time, my sister was diagnosed with cancer. She was about to lose her child. I was losing my job. I lost my relationship. I was very, like depression was hidden. But the scripture says we walk by faith, not by sight. Everything that I could see at that time was darkness.
Fair.
But faith, you have to operate in faith. And that's what God wants us to do. God will take you through so many things. And I'm feeling very led to say this message right now. But if you are in a period of time where you're feeling like the darkness is so much, you have to understand that God is only going to take you through that darkness to bring you to light. But you have to operate in faith. If you don't operate in faith, He won't be able to meet you. And it takes a level of discipline, obedience, and discernment and wisdom to operate that way.
Fair.
And to me, that has been such a huge blessing when I said yes to Christ.
Jeez. So then, that was great. That was great.
Preach now.
So because we talked about some family things, we talked about, your journey with faith right now. And for people like especially even in my circles that deal with so much family, I don't know, I want to be respectful, but just dysfunction, right? How do you begin to unpack family trauma?
It's hard.
And where do you start?
Where do you start? I think you have to start by identifying what's going on with you first. How is it impacting you? So I'll give an example.
How do you know when it's impacting you?
You'll know if it's impacting you if you're finding yourself feeling very heavy, finding yourself feeling like, just your symptoms, right? Like your mood is low, you're feeling anxious, depressed, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling withdrawal. Like a lot of these symptoms, there's physical symptoms as well, just in how you look.
Okay.
Right? Like mentally, if you're kind of deteriorating or like there's something going on, physically you're going to feel it. Like whether you stop eating, your eating habits, your sleeping habits. Yeah. Are you nervous? Are you nauseous? Like these are all indicators that something's going on, So but then the bigger, how do I deal with family trauma is like, you have to understand, like you can't tackle the whole thing at one time.
Yeah.
You can't.
And you can't, I believe you can't change people either. So you gotta first change yourself, because that's a thing. I wouldn't say a struggle that I dealt with, but a struggle that a lot of people that I've heard when they talk about their family, they're like, "Oh, but mom and dad just act like this and da 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 da. I'm like, yo, they're not gonna change. Grandparents are not gonna change, and like you gotta change yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, and here's what I say to that. Because that does come out like often with my clients, and you have to understand you're in a position where you have been situated to be able to access this level of support. Our parents and our grandparents were not.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. They didn't have the tools.
They didn't. So now ask yourself this question. How would they be able to understand what you're trying to process if they still don't have the tools?
Exactly.
But you're starting to do the work. So if you go to therapy, you'll get your therapist to break this down for you. But essentially what we try to do is we try to help you understand how all of that stuff that happened in your childhood actually impacts you, right? In terms of like psychologically, we talk about attachment styles. We talk about just like sense of belonging, sense of self. That's all work that you need to start doing. So even though there's lots going on and people are behaving the way that they're behaving in your family, you have to understand you still need to commit to doing the work to understand you. And when you do, then you'll be able to start implementing boundaries, right? And navigating with people to protect your own mental health and your peace.
Is it still possible to heal in a traumatic environment?
It's hard. It's hard. There's times where, listen, people gotta go. And I'm saying this off of growing up in a culture where it's like, okay, but you can't because that's your mom. You can't because that's your sister. No, you can. You can. And I know it's hard. And I know like some people might be like, this therapist is going crazy. But it's like, no, but at the end of the day, like you have to understand something. Like if you're doing the work to heal and that treatment or that healing process looks like you need to start removing yourself from environments. And I'm not saying like sometimes you can just up and leave, right? I have clients who are still with family and the very reason why they're in therapy is because of their parents, because of the ongoing harm that's being inflicted on them. But they can't just up and leave because, for example, like financially,
exactly.
like I
It
live
just
with
doesn't
my
make
parents.
sense.
I can't go,
Yeah.
okay, so if that's the case, then work with your therapist around how do you navigate, boundaries, but also coming up with strategies that are going to be effective for you. For example, I'll always talk to my clients about like, okay, so like, do you drive? Do you go for walks? Okay, I'm like, this is what I want you to do. Take the time out. Take 30 minutes of da-da-da. Like you will go through different steps like that. It's not going to be a perfect solution. It's not going to be like a one-time thing, but it's work. It's work. And what I will say is this. The more you learn to unpack your trauma and what individuals have caused for you, you still have to do the work in figuring out what you have caused for yourself.
And other people?
Yes. You know what I mean? We're still like, there's like, before I became a therapist or like going through, like, there are so many parts of me, like a few years ago, I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it takes a level of just honestly humble yourself.
Self-awareness.
Ego
death.
Yeah, ego. Pride. That's going to single-handedly destroy relationships. And even talking about romantic relationships. I'm sensing like a lot of people like single season. Guys can't trust girls and girls can't trust guys.
Yeah, we're at a big disconnect right now.
Well, November 19th, I have an event coming up for that, which is going to highlight that. But it's also going to highlight our men. Women are asking our men to step up. Women are asking our men to talk. Women are asking our men to show me your emotion, like talk to me. But are the women creating safe spaces for our men to do that?
I think, can I answer that? Yeah, so just to that point, I do think there's a big disconnect. And I think there's a lot being asked for men these days. And I do think, women, this is a very general.
Some?
Yeah, some. This is very general. And some women,
Disclaimer.
Yeah. We're just not creating safe spaces anymore. And we're being very judgmental. I think some women have very unrealistic expectations for their guy that they want. And they're taking it out on, if they don't get that, then they're not shit, or they're this, they're that. And And I think that's a big problem in today's society, why a lot of people are single and lonely.
Absolutely. And y'all need to stop messing around with these trends online.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Stop messing around with that. Like I'm being like dead serious.
Exactly.
Stop messing around with these trends online. And also take accountability.
Yeah, well, it's hard. You know what?
People need to take accountability. Like,
here's the thing. I said it on a couple podcasts ago. We were talking about toxic relationships. And I said, I feel like accountability, it's very hard to take these days, especially when we have this social media craze and we all think we have way more options than we really do. So how can you tell someone that has a million options, or let's say a pretty girl has a million options in her DM, to take accountability? Why? Why would she? There's no need.
So I think that question is more so. So for those individuals that feel like they have a lot of options, I'm going to ask you to challenge yourself and look at those options.
For sure.
Like,
I agree. I get it.
What do those options look like? It's so superficial.
And the grass is not always
Like,
greener on this side.
I'm talking about, man, I'm talking about some men. By the way, I just wanted to say, for my ladies out there, there are really good men, eh? Like, I've been meeting a lot of really good men. So if y'all want me to introduce you to them, I can. They're God-fearing men. But it's been a minute since I heard that. There's some good men out there. And this is the thing. I think we need to start understanding that we need to start being aware of who are you surrounding yourself with. It's not okay to get together with your girlfriend and start kikiing and putting our men down.
Child play now.
And for the men, I don't know. I'm not in those spaces. If you're doing that too, like, we just need to stop doing that. Because at the end of the day, it's like, what's the point? And in terms of and just like men looking for women aesthetically a certain type of way, because boom, we got this whole Instagram and like,
I call them pretty demons. So like,
but that's what I'm saying. It's like we're getting attracted to the things that don't even matter, And for the women that are really holding on to this list. Like this list. I threw my list out a couple of years ago. Yeah. But this list, and it's just like, standards are one thing, but then realizing where you need to be able to differentiate between trying to like achieve like all of this that's on the list. And then
first of all, it's even understanding how you can even complement that list. I don't think people are really thinking about that. They're talking about so much of their wants, but I don't really hear people say, well, I can give this. Or I can give that.
Right.
It's ours. I want this.
But here's the problem. Y'all want so much from other people, but you don't even want it from yourself.
Exactly. I agree.
People are searching for love in the outside world.
Exactly.
In other people, in other things. And they're not even looking inward to find the love
100%.
that they can give themselves.
100%.
So if you know who I am, and if you followed my work online, I go through that. My entire showcase brand online is that. And if you're someone who listens to my podcast, you will understand. And I'm in season 4, going into season 5. You'll understand that because I went through that. I went through being in a very toxic relationship a few years ago, to losing myself, to experiencing depression, to experiencing loss, and having nowhere else to turn. But myself.
Here's the thing, though. I do think losing yourself is very necessary.
Absolutely.
In life.
Absolutely.
When you're at your lowest points, what was that like aha moment where you're like, you know what, Kace, I got to get it together?
I think my lowest point was the little girl that had like so much she wanted for herself, and that I was letting her down. Like, and this goes into like inner child work.
Yeah.
If some of you go to therapy, or if you read material, or if you're aware of it.
You're good.
If you're aware of it, the inner child work is that you have to really find it in you to find the happiness that you once wanted to build, and understand that at that point you weren't looking for someone to be added onto that. You were trying to do that yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that was it. So I think when I was heartbroken at the time, I was like, yo, this is not working. This is not it. And so I had to remind myself of what I was capable of what, and at that time I haven't found Christ, but now, God being in my life is like, it's so crystal clear what it is that I need to do. And I think that would happen. And, you know, everyone sees all this online, right? Like healing and self-love and all that stuff. But remember, you can hear it and you can like be a part, like, but do it. Like do the work.
I agree.
The work is hard.
I agree.
You're not going to like yourself sometimes.
I agree.
Because when you do the work,
you'll find ugly truths about yourself.
the fingers you're pointing at other people are pointing right back at you.
100%.
That part. So do that. So don't rush to be in a relationship. Listen, I'm oldie. Like, I mean, I know I don't look it, but I'm older now. And am I worried that like, like I'm not married and I don't have kids and da-da? I'm not, because I first of all, I found the only thing that I really needed was Christ. But I found that. But in that, even in that relationship of falling in love with Christ, Christ shows you how to love. He shows you what pure love looks like. Someone used to ask me like, what is love? And we would describe it as such. Love is relative. People say love is an action word. But you will not know pure love until you seek God and see how God can love you. That's love. And so if you're looking for someone, or if you're trying to get to know, see that. Do they have God in their life? Does this man fear God? Does he understand what it takes to be obedient and to follow God? Because if you can do that and if you can commit to that, he's going to know how to love you. And you don't have to worry about Instagram people. You don't have to worry about likes. You don't have to worry about how you look like. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff, because that man will love you because he loves God, and God's going to put it in his heart how to love you. And that is a beautiful relationship. It's not going to be, nothing's perfect, but even in the times where disagreements happen, both of you are going to come together. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what we need to start focusing on. I think there's a lot of people that are, sharing. And even you listening to me, you don't even have to take in everything that I'm saying. You don't.
Ultimately, we all have to find it for ourselves wherever you find your peace.
Go to the direct source.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are like speakers and this and that and like top podcasters and all that stuff. Cool, man. That's cool. But just find it for yourself in how you find it.
In these days, right? Because you're about 2 years into your journey, right? 2 years, almost. Where are you in your healing journey today?
Man, healing is not linear, right?
Exactly.
So I could be up and then I could be 5 steps back.
What does 5 steps back look like?
5 steps
at
back.
this stage.
So for me right now, in terms of my healing, I am definitely in a better place that I've been in. However, you will be presented with situations that are always going to come back to test you to see if the healing actually stuck. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about, just simply put, like, for example, relationships is a very common topic.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Because, we don't want to be alone. We want to cuddle. Season's coming. But I think it's really important to understand that you'll always be, put in a situation again just to see how you're going to move.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Like, it's like, are you still entertaining the same kind of men? And it's crazy because like, oh my God, like I'm always attracting men that are like this particular type. I'm like, and I saw something, I read it. I don't remember where I saw it from, but it was like, it's not type. It's a pattern that you're used to.
Exactly.
And that pattern that you're used to actually gives you comfort, gives you security, even if it's in the middle of chaos. So if you're someone who grew up in a lot of violence is normal to you. So then if you seek a partner that is chaotic and violent and abusive towards you, that's comforting for you. Is it right? No, it's not. But you need to do the work and figure out what's healthy, right? So I think...
Sorry, could I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
If you've built up such a hardwired pattern to liking let's say the abuse or the chaotic situations, can you truly like something else when you're hardwired for years? Or is it more of a force to like something else because it's wrong to like the other thing?
I think like, what's your hard? Choose your hard.
True. Yeah, fair.
Choose your hard.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? By the way, I just wanted to kind of quickly say, if those of you that are listening to this and if this is triggering you or if this is very heavy for you, please do what you need to do to kind of like step away or pause the episode, what have you. But you got to choose your hard. You know what I'm saying? So if your heart is that, if you have been notorious for hooking up with or being with, in violent situation and toxic relationships, you got to choose the hard. And some of us don't want to choose hard. Why? Because we want easy. But for real change to happen, for real healing to happen, you got to choose your hard. And if your hard means like, yo, I really need to stop, then do what you need to do. Again, go into therapy, find different circles, right? Look at yourself, look at your lifestyle. What are you doing? How are you waking up in the morning? You know, how are you loving yourself? And those things. And it's going to take time. A lot of people, a lot of my clients will wonder like, okay, well, and during consultation, it's like, okay, does therapy work? My question to that is, it's going to work if you want it to work.
Exactly.
I'm only a therapist, y'all. I'm not God. I don't have a magic wand, you know? I'm only a therapist.
Yeah.
But I think it'll work if you want it to work. So if you show up and come to sessions. But the application process is the meat.
100%.
Is the holy grail.
One thing I want to run by you, because sometimes like when I have conversations with people and let's say you're shedding light on something, but they'll say, oh, I know. Or I feel like that is so detrimental to their growth because they'll say they know, but still do the same thing that you're shedding light on. What do you have to say about that?
We know when you say you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's also probably kind of a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism. Like you get your walls right up, be like, nah, I know what you're trying to do, Corey. You're trying to get me into that space where I really have to do the work. So I'm going to tell you that I know I'm good. And then what do? We then just jump off to, I'm just going to kind of keep it at that. And then you start to find distractions. You start to find, and a lot of people will go into a lot of habits that continue
Comforting
to
habits.
Perpetuate.
Yes.
Right? The behavior. There's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's like a number one selling book. And it's a really great book. I read like half of the book. But in that, he does such a good job of understanding like your habits and what you need to do to break some of those habits. I say this is a good read. Go read it. But you have to, like, I don't know what else to say than you need to do the work. And this is what the work looks like. The work is not easy. And also coming back to, our expectation of like, okay, well, I'm going to start doing it. Like, am I healed yet? Or like, can I get away? It's ongoing though. It's ongoing. And the point is not to completely get to a point where you're just like, I'm not dealing with nothing. Life is not like that.
I was just going to say, I don't think being healed is a destination.
Right. It's just a journey.
It's a journey. Exactly.
It's
an
the journey.
Ongoing, because every level, let's say
Every
we're 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, there's some element of healing that we're going to have to.
Till you take your last breath, really.
Exactly.
Because, okay, for example, grief. We lose people all the time.
Exactly.
You're not going to prepare for that. It's going to happen. We lose people all the time, right? So these kind of things happen all the time. For example, health. My sister was healthy. She never smoked. She never drank. She ate healthy. She was a good weight. She never had any prior health condition. And then she got hit with one of the rarest forms of cancer. Wow. And her life expectancy was almost 5 years.
Jeez.
So you don't know. You don't know. And that's the thing. We do not know. So we can't expect to get to a point. And this is why when people are like, heal, I want to heal. And even like, it's like, if people ask me the question, like, are you healed? I say, no, I can't be healed.
I don't think that's a thing.
I don't think you can.
Maybe from a certain situation or type of situation.
But I don't think life is that. I think life continuously gives you suffering and hardship and things like that.
It's part of the human experience. Right. Because I do feel like, I don't know. I just feel like we're supposed to hurt at times. We're supposed to feel heartbroken. We're supposed to feel the loss of somebody in our life. I just think those are all the human experiences.
That builds you, though.
Makes 100%.
I am only the person that I am in the way that I speak. A lot of people tell me like, hey, Kace, like, you speak well. Or like, listen. You wouldn't believe it, but if you talk to my mom, she'd be like, this girl used to sit in the corner.
Jeez,
and not a single word. It was almost as if I had like selective mutism.
Yeah.
Like not a single word. I would not speak, So I think it's just, you have to understand that if you're going through something and it seems to be getting worse, it could get better, but you got to make a move.
Fair.
You got to make a move on that.
Fair.
And it's really, really important. Like, and this is why like addressing mental health is important. This is why going to therapy is important. Finding the right people in your life. Stop being around people that don't uplift you, man. Like, just stop.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, I think those kind of things, like it's a lot of reflection, and do reflections. Like I wake up every day, you know, and prayers work.
I journal every day, to be honest with you.
Journaling is so good. People are like, well, why I got to journal? Well, you're journaling because a lot of the stuff that's in your mind, which is causing you to stress out, causing you to feel depressed. Right. Put it down on paper. Actually look at it. Look at what it is that's going on in your mind. And just express yourself. Learn to express yourself. And just emotion. A lot of us stick with primary emotions. Common ones, like I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry. But there are secondary emotions. I'm overwhelmed. I'm frustrated, disappointed, frightened. There's so many different words.
Yeah.
You have to start exploring different emotions. And you have to be able to recognize it, name it, and go through it. And this is the thing, like trauma, like you can't, a lot of us want to go around it. You got to go through it. You got to go through the storm.
Okay. So we're doing something new on this show. And when I had a last guest, I asked him to ask a question for the next guest. And he had no clue who it was. So I'm going to read you the question.
Okay.
I have to get it. I have to pull it up. It was a good question too. I was like, damn, that's a good question. Hold on.
Is this the last one that you posted? With the guy?
No, it's not the last one. Yeah, because I've been shooting since.
Okay.
So it's not him. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Would you rather have made everything you desired in life and lose it, or not have made it at all and live a decent existence?
Would you rather have everything
you desired in life and lose it, or not have made it at all and lived a decent existence?
That's a really good question.
Right?
I need you to tell me later who asked
Yeah,
that question.
I will.
So what I will say is this. I'm going to go with the first one.
Okay.
So if I had everything that I desired and then I lost it, right? That, or rather just live a decent life and not really have it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of life, like teaching and lessons that comes with loss.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we fear loss. And so when you're operating in fear, like even that question, a lot of people might choose a second one.
Yeah.
Because I might operate in fear and be like, you know what? I'm good, fam. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to go through all that loss because that's going to cause headache. I'm going to be a messed up person. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Just give me the bare, let me be a basic person. Yeah. And just chill. But what I will say is I am an individual who likes to be challenged and who likes to learn, and I'm always seeking. So if I did get everything and lose it, I would hope that loss would actually help me evolve into a better version of myself.
Exactly. Actually, to be honest, that would be my exact answer, because when he asked me, I had to reflect and like, oh, that's a good question, first of all. And I'd rather get it all and lose it all, because I'm going to come with so much experience that I can either pass forward and even teach myself on how to get it back. Right? Give on to others. Exactly. Give on to others. 100%. Your failures, your losses, those times you got knocked down, you're here. Listen, God still has air in your lungs. You're here. That calling is still there. You're still here. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. If you are fearful of losing, then you have to really ask yourself what it is that you're paying attention to. Exactly. You know what I mean? I agree. Why are we so fearful? And here's another thing. It's just like, I don't know why this came to my head, but I'm gonna just say it. But I don't know if you've ever heard, I'm pretty sure this is like a reference, like just in terms of like, again, you know your girl's gonna bring him back to God. But like you'll have a teddy bear and you're holding on to this teddy bear. But then God's like, give me the teddy bear. But you love this teddy bear. You're like, no, like it gives me comfort. And I'm happy with it. But God's like, no, give it back. I'm taking it from you. And you're in fear, right? What are you fearful of? You're fearful that like, life without this teddy bear. Yeah, I'm not gonna have this teddy bear. Like I'm gonna be lonely. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be so hard. How am I gonna find another teddy bear? But when God takes that teddy bear, what he wants to give you back. So the loss? It's like 10 teddy bears. But he's gonna give you a teddy bear that's like 10 times that size. Yeah. But you would never know that because you were feared to lose.
right? You're a fear of the loss. So I thought it was a great example. And I think that's life.
100%.
I think that's life. I think, if you have faith, again, going back to the faith, right? Even in that question, that could be a very faith-based question.
100%. 100%.
If you have faith, right? So that question, sorry, I get excited.
And he's a faithful person, by the way.
I'm going to meet him. Hi, you don't know me yet, but I'm going to meet you. Yeah. But that's the thing. That's a very faith-based question because those that do not operate in faith would
be hanging on to everything that they
would choose a ladder.
Exactly.
Those that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
If you do not operate in faith and you're operating in fear, you're probably going to take the second. But some of us who chose the first, operating in a level of faith and belief, no matter what happens to us, no matter what kind of loss we take, no matter how the suffering comes in, God will turn it around. He is able. Everything that he has written in your life, he's promised it.
100%.
It's finished. It's done. No man, no person, no thing can take that from you. But if God takes it from you, if God puts you through the suffering, then there's a reason why he's doing that. And you have to believe in the fact, you have to put your faith in him. And you have to understand that he's not going to forsake you. He will bring you through that. And that's the beautiful thing about Jesus.
100%.
About Christ. That's a beautiful thing about our Lord, right? That's what he does. But you have to make that decision, though.
Fair. So I have this, I'm doing something new again. Okay. And you're
here for it.
Yeah, you're the first one to get this one. So I'm just doing random questions because I want to see like where your creativity goes.
Okay.
Right? So I'm just testing you out. Imagine you have the ability to time travel, but you can only visit your own past or your future once. When and where would you go and why?
Whoa. Is this your question?
Yeah, it's my question.
His name is Corey Cash. You can follow him at. Come on, Corey. Great question. Holy. Sorry, I'm like a sapiosexual, so like anything that stimulates my mind, I'm game. Okay, so if I can go into a moment in the past
or future, once, when, where, and why.
All right, I am going to go. I'm going to go to the past.
Okay.
Because I'm not worried about the future.
Fair, and that's faith.
You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go in the past. When and where?
Yeah.
Okay. I would probably. I'll probably go. I think this is going to be my answer, but I'll probably go to when I first met Christ.
2021.
In September. I'll probably go there. And why would I go there? I would go there to just be able to take in the sights and to take in everything that I saw that day, and just have like an appreciation for what it is that God was setting me up for. Because
in hindsight, you see what was happening.
In hindsight, because when I was there, like I operated with a lot of guilt and shame.
True.
Because I was leaving a faith to go into this faith. So I experienced a lot of like imposter syndrome, experienced a lot of, like I felt very guilty. I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was in the church.
That makes sense though.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was in the church and I was like, oh my God, I haven't even opened up a Bible.
Yeah.
Like, and it's real. Like it's real. And so, if I can go into the past, like I think, cause you know what? Cause I don't want to go into the past of the suffering to be like, oh my God, I wish I never went through this. I had to go through it. So I don't want to take that. But what I will do is if I can get an opportunity.
It's a moment of appreciation where you're going.
Absolutely. Right? Like when he seeked me, like he leaves the 99 to chase after the one. Bruh.
Okay.
I don't think people understand. Like that's that's a thing. Like, and I don't think people understand like what that even means until you actually experience it. So so if I had to go, I go 2 years back to when I met Christ, when I was sitting in my church, when I was watching and witnessing everything, and I was so confused and so scared and felt so ashamed. I would go into that, and I would just learn to appreciate and just be, and just to feel like love, like not overthink it.
Yeah.
And just be like,
and just kind of just embrace
it.
Okay.
Embrace it.
Last question. What is the best advice that you've received?
Oh.
And what is the worst advice that you received? And you don't have to say any names.
Okay. The worst advice, I'll go with the worst.
Okay.
The worst advice I've ever received was, you can do it by yourself.
I don't think anything in life you could do by yourself. I don't even think that's possible, to be honest, in anything that you do.
You know? Mm-hmm. And I think that, I think sharing something like that, like, nah, you don't need that. Like, you can do it on your own. Like, I think it's I think that's that's a bad advice, because you can't. Mm-hmm. You can't. Like, life is not meant to be done alone. And you need, and again, when you find, your relationship with God, even, right? Like, you're not better than God. Mm-hmm. You can't. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who haven't met him will say, oh, it's my hard work. It's my perseverance. Mm-hmm. It's my, you know what I mean? To say, like, God doesn't exist. Like, nah. God moved everything for you, you to able to persevere, for you to be able to get that position, for you to be able to execute that. You know what I mean? God moves, So I think that would be the worst advice. Like, you could do it by yourself. Okay. So I think I learned, like, nah, I can't. Because I was like that. I was like very kind of like,
need anyone. I don't need
man. I was just like, I got this.
Actually,
like, okay, I'm like strong. Yeah. And, and you are, but it's like, nah, you need community.
You need connection and community. Yeah.
You need the right people. Not trying to say you need to roll deep with 10 people.
Yeah.
But you still need that one person, that 2 people, you know what I mean?
Fair.
And then you need God. Fair. You can't do life alone. You got to do it with him. So that's that. My best advice would be, it's not even, honestly, it's scripture.
Yeah, no, let it go. Let it fly.
I was just going to be like, we walk by faith, not by sight.
Okay.
That is the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Do you want to elaborate that on a little more?
And that advice is, you have to get to a point where you are so locked in with your belief in what it is that you think that can happen to you. You know what I mean? And that prevents you from operating in, like, anxiety, depression, stress, fear, worry. Mm-hmm. So I think when you can walk by faith, like, what does your faith look like? What do you believe in? What do you believe to be true? And start cultivating a mental space for yourself where you can start exploring what that looks like. Even if your situation right now doesn't look like it, it's like, have faith. Because things can, God, he moves fast, huh? Like, he expedites things really quickly. But I think, like, and I'm saying like this, and don't get me wrong, by the way, like, there are times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We still, again, we're humans. Mm-hmm. But I think the more and more I'm getting closer to God is just understanding that there's nothing more powerful than an individual that is driven by their faith.
I agree.
Because then you can really achieve anything.
Fair.
And understanding that faith is the will of God, not yours, the will of God. And what he has said, it will come to pass.
Fair. Jeez, that's deep. So, first of all, I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
For coming on, because you, honestly, this this conversation has been super vulnerable for parts of it. And I appreciate that, because I do think this conversation can help a lot of people, especially going through what you are going through. And just even the fact of converting, that's powerful, right? And I do think that's a very hard thing to do. I couldn't imagine myself if I grew up in something that was like very strict, or my parents were very strict about it, and I had a level, obviously, of respect and love for my parents, and then to say, you know what? But there's something greater out there for me. Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah. That's big. And
you got to choose you, though. Mm-hmm. Like, no one's going to understand what that's going to look like. It's going to be you, and it's going to be lonely.
Oh, I have a question. Do you ever think that the time where you'll explain it to your parents will come soon, or maybe later?
Well, when I get married, it's going to be in a church. So they're going to be like, wait, what? Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell y'all. So that's definitely... what I will say is this, like with my mom, she she knows that I go to church every Sunday.
Yes.
And she knows, and like my siblings, they follow me online. They're on my Instagram page. My aunts and uncles are on my page.
So then you see
they
it.
see,
Yeah, they know.
They're like, oh, she loves the Lord.
You haven't had that distinct
It's not
conversation.
it's not like a sit down conversation with,
It's
what
not
that looks like.
intervention.
But also like, I also don't feel like that's
Needed.
It's not even that it's needed, but I also like, I think like God already he already knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think my family is going to naturally see how much peace and happiness I have in my life.
And respect that.
And they'll respect that, because at the end of the day, what are you going to say, right? You want people to be happy. And it's interesting that you asked me that question, because the other day my mom went to a family gathering and my aunt went to my mom and said, oh, like what's going on? Like she keeps posting about Jesus. And my mom tells me this, and I looked at my mom like, what'd you say, Mom? And my mom said, she found God in Jesus, and she's chosen to walk this path.
Wow.
Who are we to stop her from figuring out what it is that she needs?
Wow. I'm sure for you that's all you needed to hear. That's all you needed.
I tell you, because I pray for my family, I do. I pray for family, and for those of you that are in my situation,
That's how you know she has your back at the core.
absolutely. And that's my mother's love, right? But for those of you that are in my situation, that are feeling like you've converted and like lots been going on, and you're like, yo, this is lonely and I don't know what to do. You have to have the faith, but you need to pray. Like you have to pray. I pray. I don't even know how many times I pray in a day, but you have to pray, and you can't just pray for yourself and for what you want. You got to pray for your loved one. You got to pray for individuals around you. You got to pray that God finds them, and you got to pray that God changes their heart posture and to be able to receive it. It's not up to us. Their journey's not going to be like ours. My sister could, come to church and then be super turned off by church.
Yeah.
And not feel anything.
And that's okay. That's
okay. But that's going to be her experience.
Exactly.
But you just have to focus on what it is, how you're building your relationship. And for me, it's so wild, because if I had continued to focus on like, okay, guys, come to church with me and come now, and like, don't say that. And if I had leaned into that, I don't know. I don't think my mom would have found, like, her response was beautiful, actually.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think that's all you need, to be honest.
So now I don't feel, and like, and like, I'm just going to go with that. And, I've had a conversation with my sister about like, hey, like you should come check out my church, but I'll kind of like drop a little 1-2.
Yeah. And when she's ready, she'll come.
There you go. When she's ready, they'll come, but I'll pray. I'll continue to pray.
I love that. So can you let people know where they can find you, where they can find your podcast, any events that you have coming up?
Yeah. You can find me online. I'm on Instagram. So Showcase, SHOWK.ACE. That's my main thing that I do. You could also...
practice?
My online practice, if you're looking for a therapist, I am taking new clients right now. So if you go on my Instagram page, you can find that link. But just send me an email. We can set up a consultation. We can figure out if I'm a good fit for you, and we can kind of go from there. I do have a series that I started called Let's Talk Therapy. I had my first ever event in July. It was beautiful. Lots of my vision is to continue curating these conversations and these spaces around mental health and faith based approaches. And so I have an event coming up in November. So if you follow my Instagram and follow my stuff, you'll kind of get more details of that. But I think that's really it. I'm like, I know I should be doing. I know I should be doing more. I was just talking to Corey about YouTube and stuff. So hopefully, I kind of get direction, and I'll pray on it in terms of what kind of material. But if y'all have any suggestions of what you want me to post on YouTube, then maybe I'll get a little bit more inspiration to get back on YouTube and do that. But also those of you who are people who have resources, I'm looking for sponsors and investors who can host. You know what I mean? Who can really give back, and I am willing to do the work and really just kind of come out, and whether it's
because you can definitely bring the people together. So
like just speaking engagements, delivering workshops, whatever it may look like. I just want to do the work, and I just want to make sure that I'm able to just honestly continue what God has assigned me to do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate you. Want to give you your flowers. I do feel like you have an anointing on your life, and I do feel like God is steering you in the right way. I saw one of your videos of what you used to do and where you are now, and just kind of like finding more like meaning and purpose in it. And I'm sure God's going to take you to meet the right people, to put you in the right spaces. And so, I want to extend that blessing to you. And yeah, you're just like a dope person. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everything black on black. Get the fast started that facts on facts. Let us smoke pack for pack.